Alright, I want to start by saying that this has probably been the best episode of the volume so far. And that's really exciting. And let's dive into it, because I want to talk about it. I want to really use, because usually when something's good, I just say, this was good. And I don't want to just do that, so I'm going to try to use everything I know to, explain why I like this episode so much and what makes it a good episode. So let's dive right in. Okay, so first of all, Watts and Ironwood's fight. So, okay, before we dive into, the actual fight itself, this song is really good, and I don't usually talk about the music because usually it doesn't impress me very much. I have some of the songs, I bought them on iTunes, and if you like the songs, you should support Roosterteeth and Jeff Williams and buy the songs on iTunes and be a cool person and do it that way. No, this is the first time I've been watching the show and thought that was a really good song. I want to hear it, and I think it helps that it sounds like it's not Jeff Williams singing it. I said in the first episode review, I don't like his singing voice. I tried finding the name of the song in the episode, but I didn't see it in the credits. I might have missed it. But yeah, cool. Let's actually talk about the fight. So RWBY made its claim to fame by being, its weapon is also a gun. And here we have two people whose weapons are only guns. So I was worried the fight choreography would be a bit stilted because there's not that transformative element to their weaponry, but they really do a great job of it by playing around a lot with the environment. The anti-gravity field that they're running around, first of all, I like that you can see it in the credits that they storyboarded where around the room they would go, and even just little things like that to help you really, as an animator, visualize where the fight is going can really, really help in the long run. People always use the Volume 5 finale as an example, and it's true that there's clearly very little thought in choreographing any of that fight, if any. And the other thing with the anti-gravity arena is that they get to play a little fast and loose with the stage itself, because it all kind of looks the same and is a bit nonsensical. They could cheat distance sometimes, because sometimes a lot of people love making fun of this on the internet, how the characters will teleport, and so long as it's not an egregious teleport, I don't really mind. But with this one, Watts could land somewhere and they could actually then cheat it and move him a little bit different of an area for the next shot to get what they want directing wise, which works. It helps because the anti-gravity field, there's no giant obvious pillars or landmarks in the area to make it obvious when they're doing something like that. And even though it is just a bunch of flat planes, they play around with the gravity element enough to make this really, really entertaining. And then on top of that, Ironwood is very much, he's a soldier, and having him be more physical and hit Watts throughout the fight, that's a good way to keep things entertaining and different, especially when you have such limited weaponry from our characters. And another, it's really simple, but Watts counting down his bullets. At first, he said that, and I was I think he's counting down his bullets, and as the fight went on, it made it more clear, yes, that's what he's talking about. And just, it's something in human nature that countdowns are naturally suspenseful. We get really invested whenever there is a countdown, or a clock, or a timer. And just having something that is so small, and a lot of people might not think too much about it, but that really does help add to the tense, making this a tense encounter with each other. Another cool thing is that they get the timing right. Usually with RWBY fights, it's either way too fast or way too slow. For example, the Blake Yang Adam fight from last volume is way too fast. I can never see what a character is doing with their body. It just happens way too quickly, and the camera changes angles so much that I can't ever get a bearing on what the actual fight looks like. There's no glory shots, there's no emphasis on hits or punches or anything. Meanwhile, other fights, let's go with versus the Knuckleavi from Volume 4. That one is a little slow. We spend a little too long sitting on characters' faces, reacting to something. A little too long with the wind-up, and then the after we hit the thing. So, RWBY has always struggled with pacing before. Even Monty, I would say, despite the fact that he was clearly the best, especially early on, his pacing, it helped that he would fit his fights to match the pace of the song that was playing in the background, but even he still had some weirdly, because he was matching the pace of the song, it would have to some maybe too fast moments every now and then. But yeah, it's a hard thing to get right, but they do really well with this fight. It never drags. The only thing I would say is the slowest part is the beginning, before they even fire their shots, but it never gets too fast, and that's something I like, because that's been something they've been getting really bad at lately, is just the speed of the fights is like supersonic. Now that I'm listening to the song again, is that Caleb Hayes? Is he the one singing it?
There's a point where it tips, there's a point where it breaks, there's a point where it bends, and a point we just can't take anymore. I would die.
I gotta figure this out. I'll figure it out. At least when I'm editing together, I'll figure it out, and I find the answer, I'll have it here. It's also cool that they do that thing where RWBY has it a lot, where during the middle of the fight, the characters will stop to say something. Usually they're just stopping to say, like, explain something to us. And it interrupts the flow of the battle for no good reason. But this one, you know, Watson, he starts talking to Ironwood, and it doesn't stop the fight, because they're continuing to move. Ironwood is moving forward at Watts while this is happening, and usually just have them stand completely still, and usually it's like a hero will say something to someone, and the bad guy is just gone for some reason, or just stop moving for some reason. They never stop the characters during this fight, and I think having it being limited to a 1v1 fight helped a lot, because choreographing a big fight with a lot of characters is not easy, especially given how many elements are in every single one of RWBY's characters. I go into it in greater detail in my RWBY Villains Salem video, but like every single character has their semblance, their weapon, and usually their weapon has multiple ways we could go about fighting them, and trying to keep all that in mind during an encounter is often leads to disappointing fight scenes because something always gets forgotten, and I think the limited nature of this, like, Watts and Ironwood don't really have known semblances, so we don't need to worry about that. That's probably why this fight was so strong, because there's strength in simplicity. I always believe that. Once you overcomplicate something, it makes it harder to, like, give it as much potential as it can have. And this fight shows that it can be simplified and still be really satisfying. Also, oof, what a tense moment. I thought Watts had won. I really did. I figured Ironwood would succeed somehow, but I stopped counting. Once Watts stopped counting at 7, I stopped paying attention to how many bullets he was firing. So at this moment, I'm sitting there going, it's that Dirty Harry scene. Are you feeling lucky, punk? You know, how many bullets did you fire off? And I don't know. Maybe Watts really does have the better on Ironwood, and it's so good how they play with the audience's expectations, and it's just really well done. So I like how they're getting, like, way more graphic with the violence in RWBY. After Volume 3, they're like, this is gonna be, like, a more mature. They even had, like, a post on the website. RWBY's going in a more mature direction. But as far as, like, gore went, they don't always play around with it. Like, last time with Maria, her eyes getting cut, I think that was the biggest element of them playing, like, really going all out with the mature themes. But, yeah, there are other times, like when they stab Adam, like, you get stabbed all the way through in 2 different spots, and you don't bleed at all. Just a little blood smudge on the knife, that's it. So I'm glad that they're going all out with it, because it really sells the, like, actual impact of, and the damage of what's happening way better when they actually go all out with it. And, like, that whole fight really stole the show. This fight between Tyrion and the others is still good, but it's clearly not as strong. It wasn't the focus, obviously. It was supposed to be a bit of a smaller fight. This is something that, even though they have a much more boring environment to work with, it's just an empty alleyway, literally just an empty field to do what they want. Like I was saying earlier, there's way more elements at play here. We got Tyrion's stinger, Tyrion's weapon himself, which includes bullets. We got Crow and his bullets, his sword, his scythe, you know, Clover and his fishhook, Robin has her arrows. There's a lot more, like, character things that they play around with during this fight, which is fun, and that makes up for the more lackluster environment. Now, they just need to find a good balance between the two, which isn't easy, but I have faith. If I had to complain about anything, like, directing-wise in this episode, this is more a personal thing than anything else. I hate fade transitions. They are the ugliest thing in the world. I would rather have the Star Wars ass, like, PowerPoint-esque zoop transitions than a fade transition. They don't look good and I hate them. Don't use them. You could always do something more creative than a fucking fade. And now this scene is the real star of this episode. This scene is great because, everything about it. I love it because everything the characters do and say makes sense, not only according to that character, but also just like they're using common sense. That's something, shows do this all the time. Like, why don't they do this? That's common sense. Why don't they ask this question? Common sense. They're really easily putting two and two together, and it makes this as for a stronger scene and stronger conflict between our characters. Like, Ironwood sees the Black Queen piece, and he knows it's Salem, and then RWBY pieces together it's made out of glass, black glass, that is Cinder's trademark. And they didn't need to, be like, who could it be? Because we obviously know. They've showed it to us. But every time they show the audience more than the characters do, having the characters have to get caught up is often for the detriment of the story, because they just need to be told something we already know. But having them figured out that quickly really helps alleviate it, and also, shows how on top of things our heroes are. RWBY isn't an oblivious idiot. She put two and two together, and she realizes that threat is back. Beforehand, I was hoping, I felt like that they didn't do Ironwood's stress and paranoia too well. He's been very composed throughout this volume, but I was thinking about it, and he did mention it at one point in time. I think it was episode 7? He's talking with Oscar, and they're looking at the actual vault for the first time, and as he's talking to Oscar, he's looking at the screen, and it's fades into this PTSD of seeing the Black Queen piece, and now here it is in front of him. So we've set up his PTSD really well. He just kind of jumps to super paranoid really quickly, and I wish we could have hinted at this a little bit more, maybe last episode or the episode before, when everything starts falling to shit, show how panicky he gets. But other than that, fine. This is great. I love seeing also these characters be in positions that they usually aren't. Ironwood is usually very strong. He's very confident. And now seeing him just freaking out and not thinking straight at all is really fun. Likewise, RWBY, she gets very upset later in the scene when Salem pops up. Seeing RWBY, who's usually the pure, always happy, the beacon of life of the group, crumble into a pile of tears and be that destroyed, you never see her like that. Even when the other times she's cried, we never see her like that. She always bounces back, and it was just a strong character scene.
How did Robin know about the Global Communications Project?
Oh my god, they're actually addressing it. I spent all that time shitting about it 2 episodes ago. They're actually addressing it. I'm so happy they actually are talking to Yang and Blake about keeping this secret, and I'm glad it's biting them in the butt. Fuck yes! Yes! Okay, an entire volume about keeping secret, and everyone's a fucking hypocrite. Everyone's a hypocrite. They're all pissed off. You said the tower was finished. You lied. Well, yeah, guess what? You lied too. They're all just, and the fact that they're keeping all of these little secrets, it's just building up, and it's just, they don't trust anyone, and it's just biting them all in the ass, and yes, they're actually addressing it! My only gripe about it is I wish this would have happened 2 episodes ago. When we first revealed, hey, Robin knows this. I'm glad we are finally getting to it, but my biggest problem with it is we spent so little time with the Aesops that them being immediately on Ironwood's side doesn't make total sense to me, because we just had the scene with Ironwood holding Robin's hand, and they're working together to save Mantle, and now suddenly it's we can't trust you. Whose side are you on? Well, I don't know whose side you're on. Are we cool with Robin? I thought we was. Everything seemed fine, but now we're not. It's not fair to criticize this episode for the faults of episodes prior, but it really does lessen the impact of this scene. I get it. It came across fine, but it made me wish it would have had just a little bit better setup. And to be fair, an episode wanting you to want the rest of the show to be as good as that episode is not a bad thing. And I think this is good. I think this is a good sign for the RWBY writing team.
The timeline has changed.
Alright. That line, I feel like it means more than I initially thought, because Cinder says it too last episode.
The timeline has changed.
I thought it was a weird phrasing, but I was like, whatever, Cinder does shit like that all the time, blah, blah, blah. But now Ironwood has said it also. So I wonder if that has more context to it, or if I'm just going crazy. I'm super excited to see the Aesops versus RWBY. I felt so cheated with the Aesops because they had done almost nothing throughout the volume. But no, once again, the only thing is I wish we got better setup for it beforehand. Like, really have us spend a little bit more time with the Aesops. Make Team RWBY think they are their friends, but like how Harry had said, they're not friends, it's a job, you take your orders, you execute your orders. And Oscar getting kidnapped was such a good plot twist, because he's such a non-entity throughout the entire volume. It's easy to forget he was ever even really there, and everyone made jokes about it in the beginning, but it got to the point where we just kind of stopped remembering, and at the end I was like, I have no idea what Juniper could be talking about. I honestly assumed it was Neo or a Cinder that they had run into, but now that I know that Oscar's gone, that adds a whole nother element to the show that I was not prepared for. So theories for next time there's too many. So I think Neo took Oscar, at least that would make sense to me. Cinder is on her way to the Winter Maiden, as is Winter and Penny. So I think we're gonna a fight between them, but I don't think Cinder will get the Maiden powers. I don't think she'll succeed, but whether or not the villains succeed at getting the Maiden powers, I'm not sure. There's some theories that it might go to Neo. That could be a thing. They might, if Winter gets the Maiden powers, they might just end up kidnapping Winter and taking her with them, or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot, and if Salem's on her way, I don't know, I imagine she's bringing her Barangel army with her, if that is happening. So it'll be more grim fights, yeah, but having the element of Salem is actually there and doing shit would really, give it that interesting twist that grim fights are really needing. And, RWBY versus the Aesops. One thing, I'm curious if Clover is gonna side with the Aesops and fight Crow and Robin, or is he gonna team up with them? Because I feel like it's up in the air. Maybe it's just my wishful thinking, since I ship them. But, nope, I really think that could be an interesting element that we're not accounting for. I don't think Watts is dead. I think he probably survived somehow. Because I feel like a major character death like that would probably be shown to us on screen, and the fact that it wasn't shown to us on screen leaves a lot of open-ended questions with that. So, yeah. All in all, this was a pretty amazing episode. It so much progressed the story and the characters so much, and seeing everything, finally culminating into this moment, and all the lies really are they're piling up. They don't trust each other anymore, and Ironwood doesn't know what to do, and his drastic actions make sense, and Ruby's drastic actions make sense, and it's near impossible to predict how any of this is going to turn out, because there's so many players within the game right now that I don't know who's gonna win, who's gonna fight who, how will it all end up, and I don't know. It's hard to predict. I'm nervous, but I'm very, very, very excited for next week. This finale is gonna be, that's the thing. If it was the final episode, I feel like I could predict it a bit better, but it's not. There's 2 more episodes. So, anything could happen. If you like my content, I do have a Patreon if you want to help support me. Any and all support goes a long, long way and is greatly appreciated and makes you an awesome person. In the comments, I want to know your thoughts on the episode. I imagine you thought it was good too. But yeah, what was your favorite part? Who's your favorite character? How do you think the fights are going to play out for the next episode? But if you are a first member and you have seen it, don't spoil anything in the comments, please. Be respectful. And, yeah, any and all thoughts, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.